What's up, everybody? You already know who it is. It's DripGodDero, and I'm back at you guys with another banger. So in today's video, we got to talk about the LA Clippers and what's next for them. As we all know, the LA Clippers got bounced by my hometown team, the Dallas Mavericks. And with that being said, that does bring a lot of questions for this Clippers team and what's next for them. So without further ado, let's switch over and let's get right into it. But before we do switch over, I do want to say shout out to all the people who showed support on my most recent video. Y'all went crazy on it. And hey, let's keep the ball going. Let's keep the ball rolling, man. But hey, let's switch over and let's get into it. All right, so as I was stating before, as we know, the LA Clippers, they're a team that has had, championship aspirations for the past 3 years. And to be honest, they have underperformed time and time again. Now, them underperforming has been for multiple reasons, but one thing I can say is that it's not the GM's fault. Now, what I mean by that is that this team, overall, if you look at the past 3 years, they've always had a good team. They've always had plenty of good role players, and this year wasn't any different. The thing that's really held this team back has been one player, and just to be more specific, Kawhi motherfucking Leonard. Now, as you guys can see, I do have the NBA stats right here for the playoffs specifically. And as you guys can see, when it came to the stars for this team, two of their stars played all of their playoff games, which was 6 games, aka James Harden and Paul George. They both played their hearts out. They both played their playoff games. They were both available. But there was one player that was not available, that it was a star, and it was possibly the best player on the team, and that's Kawhi Leonard. Now, just to go over some of the stats, man, as you guys can see, James Harden, he had a pretty decent series overall, man. He shot 44% from the field, which is decent. And then when it came to his 3-point percentage, he shot 38% on 7.8 attempts. So overall, he had a good series. Even when it came to the assists, he was at 8 assists per game, and he only averaged 2.3 turnovers. So he really had a solid series overall. So you can't really get mad at James Harden. Now, when it came to Paul George, he struggled a little more. As we can see, he shot 41% from the field, which isn't that great. And he shot 36% from the field on 8 threes, which is pretty good. Now, besides that, something you don't like to see is that he did have 2.3 turnovers with only 4.8 assists. So overall, he was pretty much turning the ball over at a 2-to-1 ratio, pretty much, which isn't that great. Now, as we scroll down further, let's talk about some of the role players, man. Like I said, this team, they have a lot of good role players, but some of the role players you're going to have to move on from. Those role players that I believe you need to move on from is Russell Westbrook. He had a horrible series, as we can see, as we scroll down, man. And this ain't no knock to Russell Westbrook. I'm just being real. I actually like Russell Westbrook. But overall, a horrible series, man. He shot 26% from the field, which is horrible. 26%, man. You can't make this up. And then when it came to his 3-point percentage, it was 23%. So overall, just very inefficient, and that's something you don't want when it comes to a role player. Now, besides that, let's switch over so that we could take a look at the salaries for these players, because like I was saying, man, this team has a lot of questions that need to be answered, man. They really do. So let's look at the salaries. So shout out to hoopshype.com, and shout out to them. And let me scroll up real fast because they actually show you some interesting information right here. So as we can see, this team this year had the second highest payroll. So like I was saying before, it's not like their GM has been doing anything wrong. He's been putting the money behind this team to try to get them a championship. But, things happen. But just to move on further, you guys do see the key options over here. If it's light blue, it's a player option. Red, team option. Qualifying offer is green, and two-way contract is purple. Now let's scroll down and take a look at what's upcoming when it comes to this next season. So as we can see, when it comes to Paul George, next year he has a player option on his contract. So what that means is that he can test free agency this upcoming year, or he could stick with the team and get all that money. Now me, if I'm Paul George, I'm testing free agency. I just feel like if I'm Paul George, I see that I done been here for 3 to 4 years and the shit just ain't worked out, man. My player that was supposed to be my right-hand man, the best player on the team, aka Kawhi Leonard, he's never available when I need him the most, like the Avatar. When I need him the most, he disappears, he gets injured. So I'm cool. I'm looking at greener pastures if I'm Paul George. So with that being said, this Clippers team, they got to worry about if Paul George will stay or leave. So that's something to note. Another thing to note is that this is James Harden's last year on this team. So he will be in free agency during the playoffs. Not playoffs, but during this offseason. So that brings the question on, will you re-sign James Harden or not? Me personally, if I am the Clippers, I'm going to re-sign him. He played pretty well with this team. When it comes to some of the role players, Norman Powell, I feel like that's a solid contract. Norman Powell is a pretty good role player. I'm cool with that. PJ Tucker, he has another $11 million next year. It's a player option. More than likely, he will accept that. So you could pretty much expect that to be on his. You could pretty much expect him to be on the team. Zubac is locked in for next year. That's straight. Terrence Mann is locked in for next year. That's straight as well. Mason Plumlee, will you re-sign him? Me personally, I would re-sign him for pretty much another $5 million. I think he a pretty good role player. Russell Westbrook, he has a team option next year. More than likely, not team option, but player option next year. More than likely, he'll be on this team unless he's willing to test free agency. I think he will accept that team option because regardless of how he played in the playoffs, I think that he enjoyed his time being on the Clippers, and for the most part, from what I know about Russell Westbrook, it looks like he wants to, be in LA. That's why he was on the Lakers the years prior, and now he's on the LA Clippers. So it seems like he does want to be in California and LA. So that's something to note. The other players, I don't feel like we really need to talk too much about except Bones Highland. Should you keep Bones Highland? He's pretty much locked in for another 2 years, so I would keep him, see what you could do with him. He still has some potential. But when it comes to their best player on the team, Kawhi Leonard, I'm trying to trade his ass. I know a lot of y'all not gonna like it, but I'm trying to trade his ass. Do y'all see the amount of money that this man is getting next year? He's getting $52 million to not be there, more than likely. I'm just keeping it real. I'm being realistic. As we know, this man is very injury prone. He wasn't here for the playoffs. Why would I be paying this man this amount of money if he's not going to be present, if he's not reliable? The fucking 76ers, they kind of have the same problem with Joel Embiid. You paying this man a lot of money, but he's so injury prone that it kind of doesn't make it worthwhile. So what I'm doing, if I'm the LA Clippers, I'm gonna re-sign Paul George. I'm gonna try to extend his offer. I'm gonna re-sign James Harden. I'm gonna try to keep him there for around that same 35 million. And then I'm gonna try to trade Kawhi Leonard for some young pieces, man. Some young, good pieces that have a lot of potential. If you could trade them for a star, go for it. But me personally, I'm done with Kawhi Leonard if I'm the LA Clippers. That's just my opinion. So overall, to wrap this video up, what would I do if I am the LA Clippers, the GM? What's the next for the LA Clippers? Number one, this is the number one thing: trade Kawhi. He's had enough. We've seen what he can do, man. And what he could do is play pretty good for a couple of games, but then get injured, and when you need him the most, disappear. So at this point, I'm on the trade Kawhi Leonard train, man. So number one option, trade Kawhi Leonard. Number two, extend Paul George's offer. He's been playing okay. Number three, definitely re-sign James Harden for a reasonable price. If you could get him back for that 35 million, cool. I'm gonna re-sign him. And those my three options, man, because this team, they're getting paid a lot of money, so it's not like you could really make too many moves overall, but that's just my opinion. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, you already know what to do. Like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the motherfucking channel, turn on notifications and all that good stuff, and I'm out. Peace.